I came across an article in Rolling Stone titled "Inside the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Era of AI Music," and I have a lot of thoughts. So first, let me tell you what this article says, then I'm going to tell you some of my thoughts on it, where I think this is all going, and if you, like me, really hate this, what you can do about it. So this article covers a lot of ground with AI music. It talks about how AI tools are being used at just about every level of the music industry, just very discreetly. Like last year, yeah, there was a lot of talk when Xania Monet hit the Billboard charts. That was an AI-generated artist, and that's maybe the most extreme case. It's very publicly AI. Like the woman who generated the song, her end game was she promoted the artist and then, of course, sells courses on how you can do the same thing. Get your own AI-generated artist on the Billboard charts. So that's one extreme end of the spectrum, but at the same time, there's other AI tools being used at every other level in between. So this article cites a survey of over 1,100 engineers, producers, and songwriters, and 7 out of 10 have experimented with AI tools, with 1 in 5 regularly using them, or at least saying that they're regularly using them. However, a lot of these are on the audio cleanup side. Things like stem separation. Stem separation is now built into Serato. I mean, I can hit a button on the mixer and I can take out the drums or isolate the vocal. That is technically AI. And that's not generative AI. That's not Xania Monet. That's a completely different end of the spectrum. In the middle of this article, there's a quote from Charlie Puth, who says he's used a tool called Replay for his new album. He said, quote, "There's a setting that makes a mono vocal sound like 8 to 10 people singing. I'm gonna use that to see if I even want the choir sound on there. And then we take it off and replace it with a real choir." That's the correct way of using AI, making a song and then typing in "make this sound different," and it's spitting out completely different production with stems is nauseating. Okay, so he used AI to generate a choir based off of his vocal, and then he re-recorded those vocals with an actual choir. 2 of my singer friends recorded vocals for that exact song. Another drummer friend told me he gets hired all the time to record remotely, and it's becoming more and more common for him to be told, "Play it exactly like the Suno demo. I don't want to hear any other fills, nothing else, just purely what Suno did. I just want it to sound real and better." If we have Xania Monet completely AI generated and we have stem separation on this side, this falls somewhere in the middle, right? Using AI for something and then re-recording it. You're basically getting the idea from there. Okay, I mean, there's also people using AI for lyric writing or arrangement ideas or filling out a demo on an even more basic scale, like just taking a song of you and guitar, singing and guitar, and then you plug that into Suno or whatever and say, "Hey, make this arrangement." There's so many different variables in between on this spectrum. For instance, producer Young Guru talks about using AI to generate a song with a specific style, but then sampling that and flipping it, specifically to avoid copyright issues. And I have thoughts on that too. That's a whole different thing, but this article is basically focusing on everything below Xania Monet. Using AI to help your song, but not generating a song whole cloth and publishing it. So, a couple things here. For one, I mean, I hate it. I know I'm gonna sound like an old guy or a Luddite or someone who hates technology or whatever, but as someone who's spent my whole life studying music and making music and practicing and performing and trying to get better at the craft of music, playing with people in a bunch of different settings, I can't help but feel like this is a little bit of a betrayal by everyone else who likes making music. Like, I love doing this. I thought you also loved this. I thought you cared deeply about music. I thought you enjoyed the process of writing and recording and figuring out what the song wants to be and then releasing it into the world to connect with other people. I did a video sometime last year where I made a custom puzzle. This was the thing, is I was putting together a puzzle during the video and it was me figuring out what the video is. The analogy was basically this. Like, if you're looking for a picture to hang on your wall in your home, a puzzle is a terrible way to get to that. It's way better to just buy the end product, right? So why do puzzles exist then? Because people like doing puzzles. The act of figuring out what the pieces are, how the thing's gonna go together, going, okay, I think it's gonna look like this. That means this red piece, it could go here, could go over here. Oh, you know what? I think it's that. Oh my gosh, this whole section goes down here. That whole thing. And then when you finish the puzzle, I mean, some people glue it, and I think that's insane. But most people, you take it apart and you put it back in the box, and then you do it again on the next Christmas break because you like doing puzzles. So all of these tools that make it easier to do puzzles, I don't understand. Oh, what if we had a robotic arm that could do the puzzle for you? Well, I liked doing the puzzle. Like, Xania Monet is printing a picture and putting it on the wall, and you don't have to do the puzzle at all. But then, like, I don't know, do I want an app on my phone where I take a picture of it, and then it tells me what pieces to put where, and goes, oh, this actually goes with this one, this goes with this one. Or is the point puzzling? Is it, like, what are we? All right, so part of me doesn't even want to engage in this conversation at all, and I just want to go, no AI ever, we're not doing it, just say no. But after reading this article and talking to musician friends and seeing how it's very quietly being used at so many different levels, I have some thoughts. So let's rapid fire as quickly as we can with this. I want to take a minute and thank the sponsor of today's video, Bellroy. Look, I'm a guy who travels, a man about town, if you will, a dude in the mood to move. I don't know what that was. Okay, so Bellroy makes everyday carry and travel products, and let me pick a few products of theirs, and I want to show them to you because they're pretty great. Side camera, get a load of this. First up is the Apex wallet. This holds 6 to 8 cards. It's RFID protected. It's made from pre-molded leather, and it also has a magnetic enclosure on the edge. I also got the Venture Ready Duffel. This thing opens extra wide so you can pack stuff in here easy. Look how wide that gets, man! It's got water-resistant coated zipper on it. Come on. My favorite feature, though, is a secret feature, because check this out. You see this tag right here? You can put an air tag in there. Come on! But not only are these products really great quality, the company is great too, which is why I wanted to work with them. They're Australian-based, a certified B Corp. They use a ton of recycled materials. They have a ton of really well-made products, from luggage to backpacks, phone cases, and wallets. And you can get 10% off Bellroy.com using the link in the description or by scanning the QR code. Thank you again to Bellroy. Go check them out. Let's start with sampling. On the idea of generating samples for you to flip, the copyright on AI-generated music is still very unsettled, so this could backfire spectacularly. I mean, these AI companies did literally steal all of the recorded music they could find, and that's how these things work. I do understand the urge to do that and make a sample and then sample it so that you're in the clear and you don't have royalties to pay. You don't have to do sample licensing, but that's just because the copyright system in the US is broken, especially when it comes to sampling. I've talked about this before in many different videos. It's a different conversation, but personally, I wouldn't sample an AI generated anything. Not only for the copyright issues, but because great sampling can be magic. You are sampling a specific moment in time, a specific energy, and then you are looping that or warping it or twisting it or flipping it. And I literally think that in that sample, there's a little bit of magic. And if you know what you're doing when you're sampling, you can expand on that and make something that is moving. And I don't think you can get that with an AI sample. It might sound fine, but I can't get there. Now, about replacing musicians or supplementing them, I just, do you not remember what music used to be? My drummer friend has to play exactly what the Suno demo is. My singer friends are in the Charlie Puth choir. Do you not remember how you can hire a musician to collaborate with you? Not just play the part, but bring their own expertise to it. You might know what you want, but they also might bring something that you could not imagine to it, and you might end up loving it. Seriously, my friends that I'm talking about are some of the greatest musicians in the world, and I would trust their expertise at what they do over my own, and especially an AI. They live and breathe drums or vocals or saxophone or guitar or piano or whatever. And isn't that who you want making suggestions? A passionate professional who can go, oh, you know what? I think I see where you're trying to go. What if we did this? And you go, you know what? I never thought of that. But because you have dedicated your life to this instrument, you are a professional. You know what you're doing. Using AI to fill out a demo is one thing, but I don't like that for one simple reason. It's the power of suggestion. It's gonna suggest one style or instrumentation or something with the arrangement, and you're gonna go, yeah, that's pretty good. And you're gonna call it. But what if you had explored that whole process yourself and had come up with something great? Humans are still better than AI. It just takes work. You have to be good. When did it become a bad thing to have to work at it? When did it become a bad thing to have to be good at what you do? Solving the puzzle is the work of being creative, and it is so rewarding. If you have not made something and gone through this process, you don't understand what I'm talking about. It is so personally and on a physical and spiritual level, fulfilling on a soul level, when you go through the entire creative process and the thing grows and changes, then you tweak it in whatever it is. If it's music, if it's drawing, if it's writing, if it's painting, no matter the medium. And I think we are forgetting that in the pursuit of making it faster and easier and more frictionless. This channel, Digging the Greats, exists because I love music and I love the process of making music, and I love seeing how musicians and producers and artists make it. And you do too. That's why you're here watching my videos. You like the craft. Guys, I've gotten so many emails from AI music companies that want to be a sponsor on this channel. It's almost every week. Do you not understand what we're doing here? We are celebrating the craft of making music, which is the opposite of what your thing is. I would sooner have a socks sponsor. I literally have done a socks sponsor. So, where is this all going? Well, we are absolutely going to get so much AI slop. That is a guarantee. You gotta start tuning your ears to it because we're gonna be overrun with AI music slop. Background music at a restaurant, the background on YouTube videos. Spotify is going to be a place where AI slop music thrives. There's already rampant problems with AI-generated songs being maliciously uploaded to artist profiles. And then there's AI covers of songs that sound like the real thing, which is something I called 3 years ago. But also, there's gonna be a lot of stuff in the middle that doesn't necessarily sound AI-generated, but feels very similar and has been heavily AI influenced on some level along the way. That's this middle ground that this Rolling Stone article is talking about. AI generated music can exist either on the fully generated Xania Monet level or on the mid level with samples or demos or lyrics or filling out the arrangement, all this middle stuff, and it can exist specifically because you're tricking the listener. Because if you said, hey, want to hear my new album? It's entirely AI generated. It's a voice clone of me. I typed in some heavy prompts, dude. It's nuts. Does anyone want to listen to that? But if there are AI elements that are snuck in and no one can tell, that's how this is getting used. You're hiding it. That's the don't ask, don't tell part. And that's really messy. AI detection software is not good enough to be able to figure out AI-generated elements, especially if they're being replayed by a human. But then there will be something that I'm most excited about. Come here. Mission Impossible albums. Here's what I mean by that. You know how when they come out with a new Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise, what's the selling point of those movies? It's that Tom Cruise does his own stunts. It's not done on a soundstage, it's not a green screen, it's not even a separate stunt person. It's actually Tom Cruise on the side of a plane or diving underwater or going to space or rappelling off a skyscraper. And because it's actually him and he's actually doing it, it looks incredible. You can show his face, you can show the setting. It all looks amazing. So the Mission Impossible album, we'll start to see these pop up in the next few years, where the marketing and the story behind the music is they're actually doing it. And because they're actually doing it, it's gonna sound different, it'll feel different, it'll be real in a way that everything else simply is not. We already saw this last year with Rosalia's new album. Her album Lux was recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra, and she spent several years just learning how to properly sing in different languages. That is a Mission Impossible album. The point is that she's actually doing the thing. It's hard, but she's actually doing it. Side tangent, did anyone else watch the Artemis 2 mission with absolute wonder? Just completely awestruck? Watching 4 competent humans doing something really difficult and really cool and inspiring is such a breath of fresh air in the year of our Lord 2026. My God, competency! Let's bring that back. This is what I'm talking about. Along with Mission Impossible albums, I think other things where people are actually doing it, those things are gonna thrive. Live music, small settings, I don't know, simple guy with a guitar music. The stuff that AI can't do, and you're gonna look at and go, yeah, they're really doing that. You can't prompt your way into being a good live performer in a small setting. And yes, in an ideal world, the AI companies would be regulated, they'd be reined in, there would be laws passed, but I do not see any of that happening with the current people that we have in charge. In fact, I see the exact opposite, recklessly barreling towards more and more AI in absolutely everything. And here's the most difficult part of all of this. I truly think that most people don't care. I mean, people do hate AI. On the whole, AI is very unfavorable with most people. It's polling worse than ICE. But when it comes to music, I think there's gonna be one of those things where it's just don't ask, don't tell. The average listener wouldn't even know what to ask. In the same way that the average listener does not understand how widely used autotune is, because sure, you're like, T-Pain, autotune, great. Sure, but how it started and how it's mostly used is just making vocals sound cleaner or other instruments sound more in tune. You wouldn't even know that it's there unless you're really in the industry and you are actively recording all the time and you're interacting with these things. I think it's going to be the same with AI. It's going to be people don't even know what they don't know. But for those who really love music, love making music, love the rewarding challenge of putting that puzzle together, they're going to tell that story as a part of the entire music experience. Digging the Greats celebrates not only the craft of making music, but the stories behind it as well. And that's part of the reason why you watch videos like mine in the first place. Because there's music that you like, and you go, great, let me find out how it was made. Let me find out the story behind it. Oh, there was a different version of the song originally. Oh, this person played on it, I had no idea. All of that stuff. I can't make people care about the intricacies of music production or whether or not AI is used. But if you, like me, if you do care, that's what we can do, is promote human-made art. Human-made music. Human-made everything. The last video that I published last week dived into the music of space, specifically starting with Artemis 2, but then looking at the cyclical relationship between space and Earth and music. Because it turns out space had a massive influence on the music of Earth, and then we turned around and imagined what space would sound like. Human-made music, human-made everything. Click here to watch that video.